She screamed at her phone, literally screamed, because her coffee foam looked like a sad tit. That's how my Tuesday started. I was still brushing my teeth when I heard her voice echo off the hallway tile, echoing through the open bedroom door like a reality show confessional filmed in my goddamn kitchen. You guys, Darren did it again. He bought the wrong creamer. He doesn't listen to me. The comment section exploded with emojis and fake empathy while she pouted into the front camera, hair still in curlers, robe barely tied, my name, my face, my fridge, all part of her 8 a.m. content. I hadn't even gotten to my socks. 3 months earlier, I said yes to her moving in after her rental flooded during a thunderstorm. Just a couple of weeks, she'd said, soaking wet on my doorstep with a suitcase, mascara streaming like a haunted doll. I was recently divorced, lonelier than I admitted, vulnerable enough to think maybe letting someone in would be good for me. She cooked once, pasta with too much truffle oil. She washed dishes once, on live. She thanked me with a kiss on the cheek that tasted like a transaction. By week 2, my den had become her editing bay, lit with purple LEDs and ring lights the size of dinner plates. She bought 3 more robes for the aesthetic and left each one on a different piece of furniture. She started calling me D-Train in her videos, always followed by a chuckle like I was some well-meaning idiot who didn't know how to separate whites and colors in the wash. I let it slide. I let a lot slide. The straw that almost broke me came with a squeal. Let's prank Darren? I just walked through the door after a 9-hour workday, coat still on, when a bucket of glitter dumped over my head from above the foyer. She cackled while holding her phone, saying, "OMG, you guys look at his face. He's gonna kill me." I didn't kill her. I vacuumed the glitter out of my rug for the next 6 days, found some in my shoe, some in my cereal. Even on the cat, who now avoided her completely, she said it was harmless. "It's just content, babe. Lighten up. You're so tense lately." As if she hadn't turned my home into a one-woman studio. As if her ring light wasn't blinding me in the hallway at 1 a.m. when I got up to pee and walked into her filming a lip mask routine. She stopped asking if I wanted to be in the frame, started assuming I wouldn't mind. She used my full name once. "Darren Trent, people. This man thinks boxed wine is fine dining." Her viewers laughed. I poured the wine down the drain that night. It wasn't about the wine. If you're still reading and you're one of the 97% of people who follow these stories but haven't subscribed yet, maybe do it now. It helps my team keep making stories like this. And unlike Marissa, we don't need ring lights or drama, just your attention. The point is, the house didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like a set. She used the bedroom window as a lighting filter during golden hour, used my coffee table to stage fake candid selfies, legs crossed, book open to the same page every time. I moved the bookmark once. She flipped out. "I told you never to touch my props." Props. The word clung to me for the rest of the night. I tried setting boundaries. Soft ones. "Can we not film dinner?" I asked after she pointed her phone at my face during lasagna night. She rolled her eyes. "You sound like my dad. You don't get this life. This is how I pay my bills." I wanted to ask which bills. She hadn't contributed a cent since moving in, but I didn't. I wasn't raised to throw numbers in people's faces, just let her have the damn noodles. But something started shifting in me. Not all at once, no snapping point, just a long, slow stretch of silence. I stopped refilling the water pitcher she left out, stopped folding her laundry when she dumped it on the couch, stopped laughing at her dumb skits even when she made that stupid pouty face like I was breaking her heart. The truth is, the moment you realize someone's using your life as set dressing, you stop caring how they decorate it. She started baiting me, saying things like, "Some men just can't handle a strong woman," while glancing at me through the phone screen. I'd be standing 2 feet away, pouring coffee, pretending not to exist, while 12,000 strangers typed hearts and clapping hands and "Yes, Queen." It wasn't the worst thing she said. It was the way she said it, like I was just one more character she'd cast, not someone who used to matter. That's when I started writing things down, not for a confrontation, just for clarity. Dates, comments, which parts of the apartment she used and how, when I'd asked her to pay rent, her responses, screenshots of stream titles where she called me toxic. I didn't even know what I was collecting at first, but when someone treats your silence as a blank check, it's only a matter of time before you start itemizing the charges. So yeah. The glitter was cute, the pranks, the moody rants, the live ASMR makeout sessions with the sandwich, all content. But what she didn't know, what none of her followers knew, was that the real footage, the real content, wasn't on her phone. It was on mine, and I was just getting started. She was sprawled across the couch when I came in, makeup half done, top half off, cropped sweatshirt, and nothing else. Phone propped at an angle that made our living room look like a minimalist Airbnb instead of the place where I'd eaten alone 5 nights this week. So, like, older guys are always so insecure, right? She was saying into the screen, fake giggle locked and loaded. They act supportive at first, and then suddenly they're like, why are you always filming? Like, sorry, Dad, some of us actually have ambition. I knew she knew I was standing there. She always positioned herself so the front camera could catch the doorway. She wanted my reaction in frame, wanted that beat of tension where the bad guy enters stage left. The man who didn't get it, I didn't play the part, just set my keys down quietly, took off my jacket, and stood behind the wall until the stream ended. 32 minutes of monologue, sponsored tea, and comments from guys named Kyle with flag emojis in their bios. She ended with a wink. All right, lovelies, catch you later. I have to deal with Darren now. Pray for me. The camera stopped. The mask stayed on. You need to find another place, I said. Not loud, not angry, not sarcastic, just flat, like reading off a weather report. She didn't blink, didn't even sit up. Excuse me? You've been here 3 months. I've asked you to contribute. You haven't. I've asked for privacy. You've ignored it. This isn't working. She tilted her head like a dog hearing a microwave beep. You're kicking me out? I'm asking you to leave. She smiled then, the kind of smile that's all gums and no kindness. Wow. Okay. So that's how it is. She looked down at her phone, then back at me. You know, I could just go live again. Say you yelled, say you threw something. You think your job survives a story like that, middle-aged man with anger issues? It wasn't a threat. It was an invitation to play the game by her rules. She'd built a following off vague victimhood. A broken nail became assault. A roommate disagreement became gaslighting. She'd mastered the art of implication, never name names. Just cry into a ring light and let the mob connect the dots. I didn't take the bait. I walked to the dining table, sat, pulled out my phone, dialed one number. Steve, it's Darren. Hey, yeah. No, I'm good. Listen, I need to talk lease terms, hypothetical eviction timelines. Also, any advice on digital defamation procedures? Nope, nothing urgent yet, just contingency planning. She laughed from the couch, a sharp bark. Wow, calling your lawyer already? You are scared. I ended the call without a word and looked at her, really looked at her. She had no clue. That's the thing about people like Marissa. They mistake calm for cowardice. They confuse patience for permission. And worst of all, they think every room they enter will belong to them eventually. She crossed her legs dramatically. You're acting like I'm some kind of squatter. I live here. No, you don't, I said. You stay here. That's different. She got up, slowly, theatrically, like a B-movie villain prepping for a monologue. You can't kick me out just because you're insecure. I stood. I'm not kicking you out because I'm insecure. I'm asking you to leave because this is my home. Not a prop, not a set, not a punching bag you broadcast to 17,000 strangers every morning. Her eyes narrowed. You wouldn't dare. Don't test me, I said. She stormed into the bedroom and slammed the door. I heard her start talking again, muffled through the wall, probably venting to her group chat, probably cooking up a story already, maybe rehearsing it in front of the mirror. I wasn't worried. I was done being reactive, done asking nicely. I spent the evening printing documents, lease agreement, utility bills, HOA codes. I looked up the tenant statutes for our city, researched what defined guest versus resident. I wasn't preparing to argue. I was preparing to win. The silence from her side of the apartment was short-lived. By midnight, I heard her pacing, then filming again, then whispering on the phone. I didn't listen. I slept like a man who'd finally found the off switch. Let her plot, let her posture. The performance had already started to feel hollow. She just didn't know the curtains were about to fall. On her, she started narrating my life like it was a reality show she didn't have to pay for. He's pretending to be all cool and collected, she said into her camera one morning, cereal in one hand, phone in the other. But you know these older guys always crumble when you push them. I give it a week. Comments lit up. Make him snap, girl. Bet he's crying in his coffee. Stream the fight. I watched from the kitchen, quiet. She hadn't noticed the new camera above the pantry yet, just like she hadn't noticed the new locks had smart tracking, or that the lease, quietly updated through my HOA portal, now had her explicitly listed as a temporary guest with no tenancy rights. She was still filming TikToks in the hallway like nothing had changed, still using my face, my space, my routines for content, but now I was documenting, not rage texting friends, not venting into beers, documenting, screenshots of captions, logs of what time she streamed, which phrases she used, the morning she called me a deranged sugar daddy with boundary issues. I clipped the audio, attached the date, and moved it to a folder named Just In Case. It was never about being paranoid, it was about finally accepting what I was dealing with. A performance addict, someone who believed real life didn't count unless it was captioned, filtered, and monetized. Someone who thought silence was the same as surrender. She wanted me to scream, throw something, curse her out on camera so she could clip it, add a tearful piano track, and rake in sympathy from an audience that never met either of us. So I gave her none of it. Just long silences, polite nods, locked lips. I became a mirror with nothing to reflect. That only made her push harder. She began staging fights like they were dress rehearsals. "So Darren," she'd say with her phone accidentally on, "why do you hate when women succeed?" I'd blink at her over the newspaper. No response. "Wow, silent treatment." Again. Still nothing. She'd huff, spin on her heel, stomp to the bedroom, and slam the door just loud enough for the mic to catch it. Then 20 minutes later, she'd return in makeup, like none of it happened. It was exhausting in the way only people who treat reality like improv can be. You couldn't win. You couldn't lose. You could only get drained. So I focused on the paper trail. I updated my building access records to flag when she entered using the guest code, sent a friendly email to the building manager asking if he could forward the HOA clause about unauthorized occupants. No confrontation, just breadcrumbs. One night I replaced the security cam in the entryway with a newer one that had internal storage. I didn't tell her, didn't warn her. I just waited. It got worse before it got better. She tried crying on camera. "He's ignoring me. He makes me feel invisible." The comments were pure venom. "Kick him out." "Girl, you deserve better." "He's probably cheating." One night she posted a clip of herself fake crying by the window, narrating how toxic the house had become. I watched from the hallway mirror, just out of frame, her reflection laughing between takes. Then, one Friday, she packed a duffel bag and disappeared. No explanation, no sarcastic sign-off, just gone. The silence was deafening. In the best way, no light rigs humming in the kitchen, no passive-aggressive makeup tutorials blasting from the bathroom. Just the hum of my fridge and the sound of my own breath. I didn't call, I didn't text. I used the weekend like a man prepping for winter. I updated the smart lock software and flagged her device as temporary guest access. I reset the Wi-Fi password and changed the router name to tenant only. I moved all her props into 2 boxes and set them by the door. Nothing harsh, nothing malicious, just neat, careful boundaries, documented with timestamps, with photos. I had a lawyer ready, a paper trail prepped, security footage stored, a plan, because she wasn't just gone, she was setting something up. I could feel it. The calm wasn't peace, it was rehearsal, and people like her don't vanish without a finale. I wasn't scared, I was ready. Sunday at 4:16 p.m., my phone buzzed once, then kept buzzing. 3 texts from a coworker. A screenshot from my nephew. A subject line from a friend. "Dude, she's live." I was standing in the produce aisle holding a bag of spinach when I tapped the link and watched it unfold in real time. Marissa, framed in perfect daylight, hair curled, lips glossed, standing outside my condo door with a smug little grin like she was hosting a giveaway. "Hey besties," she said to the camera, waving. "So today's content is a little different. We're doing empowered lock replacement because Darren's still pretending he has control over me. Newsflash, you don't get to ignore a woman and still have a key to your own place." The live viewer count ticked up. 4210, 8,000, 12,060. Behind her stood a locksmith, visibly uncomfortable. "Are you sure you live here?" he asked off camera. She didn't hesitate. "My stuff's inside. I've lived here for months. It's a domestic thing," she added with a knowing look at the camera. "Ladies know what I mean." The comments flew in. "Get it, girl." Kick his toxica out. Finally, a queen taking back her space. She panned the phone across the hallway like a tour guide at Versailles. I tried to be nice, I tried to wait, but now I'm done waiting. Darren, if you're watching, you did this to yourself. Enjoy your keyless future. I stood frozen next to a stack of bell peppers, listening to the sound of my front door being drilled open. She gasped theatrically as the top lock popped. There it goes, she cheered, throwing her hands up like a referee calling a touchdown. Bye, Darren. My neighbor must have called the police because less than 5 minutes later, I watched her live stream herself arguing with the responding officer. I live here, she insisted. He's been emotionally abusive. I'm reclaiming my space. She turned back to her audience. They're trying to gaslight me, but that's okay. Let them come. I'm the victim. They'll see. More hearts, more likes. Someone posted, imagine trying to gaslight an influencer. LMAO. Another asked, you sure you're on the lease though? She ignored that one. Inside, the camera now followed her as she flung her duffel on the couch, flipped on the hallway lights, and strutted through the living room like a catwalk model. Finally some peace, she purred. Gonna pour myself a glass of wine and reclaim my sanctuary. She pulled a bottle from the fridge, mine, and toasted the camera. To freedom. Meanwhile, the officer had stepped into the frame, clearly skeptical. Ma'am, do you have any paperwork proving residence? Oh my God, she said, rolling her eyes. Are you seriously believing him? I live here. My name is literally on the Amazon packages. The locksmith, awkward as hell, said, she paid me in cash. I assumed she was telling the truth. I watched it all from the parking garage, phone balanced on my steering wheel, pulse steady. I had the lease in my glove box. I had digital logs showing her as a guest. I had camera footage, emails, timestamps, and 2 printed letters from my HOA stating that I was the sole registered occupant. But most importantly, I had patience. She thought she'd caught me off guard, thought her live performance gave her the upper hand, that viewers meant proof, that drama meant truth. What she didn't know was that every second she broadcasted was being saved, not just on her feed, but on mine. 3 sources, archived. When I stepped into the elevator minutes later, the concierge nodded at me. She's still going? He asked. I nodded. 3rd floor, I said. You might want to notify building management. He raised an eyebrow. Already did. On the elevator ride up, my phone buzzed again. Another text, this one from my attorney. Perfect. Don't interrupt the live. Let it roll. I smiled. I wasn't going to interrupt a thing. The show was hers. The ending? That belonged to me. I pulled into the garage slow and smooth, like it was any other Sunday. The kind where I usually came home with groceries and half a plan to meal prep, maybe watch a documentary, maybe read the rest of the paperback I kept dog-eared on the nightstand. Except this time, I wasn't bringing spinach or eggs. I was bringing closure. The dashboard clock blinked 4:42 p.m. I killed the engine, checked my phone one last time, and smiled. 17 missed messages. 3 voicemails. Half from people I hadn't spoken to in months. Screenshots, clips. Dude, she's unhinged. Is this actually your place? She's saying she lives there full time. One of them included a gif of popcorn popping. Real supportive Matt. I got out of the car, straightened my jacket, grabbed the manila folder from the passenger seat, and took the stairs instead of the elevator. Not out of nerves, out of habit. I needed the extra minute to shift into gear. When you're about to walk into a stage circus, it helps to feel the ground under your feet. At the front desk, Janelle, who'd worked there for 6 years and always slipped me extra laundry tokens, was already holding out the clipboard. Incident report, she said, not even pretending to be surprised. I signed my name. She gave me a small nod. 2 officers are waiting by the elevator. They've seen the live. One of them's got a teenage daughter. That's how he found it. Figures, I said. From behind the desk, she handed me back my lease printout. Everything in here checks out. You're the only one on file. She's not even registered as a guest. That'll help, I said. You want me to call building management? They'll want to see the footage, I replied. Might as well have them on standby. She picked up the phone. The elevator dinged. 2 officers stood inside, both mid-30s, one with a pen tucked behind his ear, the other with a face like he'd just watched a season finale. He extended his hand. Mr. Trent? Yep. You're the owner-tenant for Unit 317. I held up the lease, then the envelope from my folder. Property tax receipts. I am. He nodded, already thumbing through his notes. We've reviewed the video. Not sure she knows she's actually streaming herself committing a violation. She usually doesn't think beyond the likes. The second officer gave a small chuckle. Yeah, well, she's gonna think real hard in about 5 minutes. The ride up was quiet. No idle chat, no jokes, just the hum of old elevator motors and the steady pulse in my wrist. I wasn't nervous, I was precise. That's the thing people mistake about men like me. We don't yell, we don't throw punches, we gather. By the time the elevator door slid open, we could already hear her voice through the hallway. She was ranting again, circling the room, wine glass in hand, the camera fixed on her from a tripod near the entryway. Don't let anyone tell you your feelings are too much, she said dramatically, especially not men who can't handle your shine. The moment I stepped into the frame, she froze. Her expression didn't break. Not right away. She smiled at the camera and raised her glass like we were sharing a joke. Speak of the devil, she said. Look who finally decided to come home. I walked straight past her, set the folder on the kitchen island, opened it. The officers followed behind me, quiet, but present. Marissa Langford? One asked. Yep, she chirped. We're fine here. Just having a little miscommunication, you guys can go. No, I said, voice calm, they're staying. I pulled out the lease, held it up to the camera deliberately. This unit is leased solely to me. No subletters, no registered occupants, no shared ownership. You've entered illegally. Darren, she said, half laughing, are you really doing this right now? On live? 17,000 people are watching, I said. Might as well show them what due process looks like. The officer stepped forward. Ms. Langford, do you have any documentation proving your residence? She blinked. My stuff is here. That's not the same, I said. You've been staying here as a guest. I've asked you to leave. You refused. You changed the locks. That's unlawful entry. The footage is recorded. She tried to pivot toward the camera again. Okay, listen, everybody, we're having a disagreement, but The second officer cut her off. Ma'am, you're going to want to stop speaking if you want us to remain neutral. That's when her face finally cracked. The comments started shifting, faster than she could scroll. Wait, she's not on the lease? Why'd she lie about living there? Is this a crime? Girl, you better log off. The camera stayed rolling. So did I. The second the lock clicked open, her voice floated through like cheap perfume, airy, artificial, desperate to linger. Darren must be halfway to a Motel 6 by now, she chirped, swirling the wine like a Bond villain in yoga pants. Honestly, I'm doing him a favor. He needed a reason to go. Her back was to the door. The camera was still rolling. The wine glass was raised. I stepped in. She didn't notice at first. Not until the officers followed behind me and the building manager's voice cut through the monologue with all the warmth of a tax audit. Ms. Langford, he said evenly, you were asked multiple times to register as a guest. You did not. You were asked to vacate. You did not. This property is leased solely to Mr. Darren Trent. That's confirmed through our records. She spun around, blinking rapidly like a deer caught mid-pose. The wine sloshed in her glass. The live viewer count, now at 16.8K, ticked even higher. Wait, what is this? She stammered. You can't just barge in. I was filming. This is my space. No, I said, walking calmly to the kitchen and setting down my folder. It's my space. You just had an extended audition. I handed the officer the lease. He skimmed it, nodded. Registered sole tenant. Leaseholder since 20. I turned to the locksmith, an older guy with nervous eyes and sweat soaking through his collar. She tell you she owned the place? He scratched the back of his neck. She said she lived here. She stayed here, I said. Big difference. Marissa waved her hand, still gripping the wine like it might offer protection. Hold on, this is ridiculous. I've lived here for 3 months. I get mail here, I sleep here, I have rights. No tenancy rights, the building manager said. You were never added to the lease, you didn't sign a cohabitation addendum, and there's no evidence of rental contribution. If Mr. Trent wants you out, you have to go. She turned to the officer, switching tones so fast it gave me whiplash. He's gaslighting me. You don't understand. He said I could stay. He invited me. He was fine with it until I started doing better online. The first officer pointed to the camera, still running. This is a public live stream, correct? Yes, but You verbally stated on video that you were changing the locks on a unit you don't legally reside in, that you were locking out the tenant, and that you were doing it as revenge. That's all recorded." Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. The screen on her phone continued broadcasting, her pale face now framed by two officers, a locksmith slowly backing toward the hallway, and 17,000 viewers watching her unravel in real time. The comment section turned vicious. Wait, she lied? Is this even legal? She deadass just admitted to trespassing on live? Bro, this is a crime LMAO. And then, Darren's a legend. She reached for the phone like it was a lifeline, but I stepped between her and the tripod. Don't end it, I said. Let's give your fans the whole arc. Heroin breaks in, gets caught, then blames the editing. She glared at me. You're a monster. I shrugged. You called me pathetic 30 minutes ago while stealing my apartment. I think we're past moral ambiguity. She turned to the locksmith. You have to say something. You drilled the lock. The man just raised his hands. You told me you lived here. You said it was your place. I don't want to be involved in this. You are involved, she shrieked. Everyone is acting like I'm crazy. One of the officers spoke again, voice low, clipped. Ma'am, if you don't step back and lower your voice, we'll have to consider a formal complaint. Her eyes darted between us, the officer, the building manager, the locksmith, the camera, and then something clicked. Not the lock this time, but the full, terrible awareness of what she'd done. Not off camera, not in private, not behind closed doors. Live, every second of her violation, her smug commentary, her "Bye, Darren," all immortalized, clipped, shared, archived. Her audience had watched her pour the wine, crack the lock, and walk in like she owned it. Now they were watching the truth. And for once, she couldn't edit the ending. Security showed up like a cleanup crew, no rush, no raised voices, just that slow, practiced calm of people who've seen this before. The lead guard, a stocky guy named Ruben, who once helped me carry a broken futon to the trash chute, gave me a nod before turning to Marissa. Ma'am, you've been asked to vacate by the tenant. At this point, you can leave voluntarily, or we can proceed with formal removal. She laughed, thin and high-pitched. Formal removal? Are you serious? From my home? Her eyes flashed around the room, desperate for backup, finding none. You can't be serious. This is harassment. You're all enabling him. The officers didn't flinch. The building manager checked his watch. And the live stream still running. 15,800 people watching now. Some dropped off. Some stuck around to see how the train wreck would end. One comment caught my eye on the screen. She's spiraling. I stayed by the counter, arms folded, quiet. You're not going to help me? She barked at me, voice trembling now. You're really just going to stand there? I didn't move, so she shifted tactics, put on the soft voice. Darren, come on. We've had something. You said you wanted peace. Why are you trying to humiliate me? I finally spoke, voice low, even. I'm not trying to humiliate you, Marissa. You did that on your own. I'm just giving you a door. Her lips parted like she wanted to scream, cry, explain, maybe all three, but instead, she stood frozen as the truth dropped hard and final in front of her. You can leave now, I said. Walk out and I won't press charges. The lock damage, the trespass, the live stream defamation, it all disappears. Just walk. Everyone waited. Security, police, me, even her viewers. She stared into the phone lens, maybe hoping they'd say something, rally for her, tell her she was right, but the comments had shifted tone entirely. Just leave already. This is painful to watch. She really thought this was a win. She broke the law on camera, LOL. Girl, what are you doing? Her fingers twitched at her side, wine glass shaking slightly. Then she blinked, long and slow, and the panic finally reached her mouth. I'm going, she muttered. She reached for the tripod, but the officer stepped in. Leave the camera rolling, please. This is part of the record now. That cracked her. Her shoulders hunched. Her knees wobbled slightly, like someone had taken out the pins from a mannequin. You don't understand, she whispered. This was supposed to help me. This was supposed to be... Content? I offered. She didn't answer. Just moved toward the door slowly, like she was walking through molasses. Security followed, not touching her, just shadowing. The officer stayed behind, double-checking the scene. Right before she crossed the threshold, she turned back one last time. Her lip quivered. This is gonna ruin me. I tilted my head. You sure streamed it like you wanted the world to see. She looked down at the phone one more time, thumb hovering. The screen was still going, viewer count dropping, a few laughing emojis, some flame icons. One comment sat there like a tombstone. She really thought this was a movie. And then, with the smallest, most fragile motion, she tapped the screen and ended the live. The silence afterward was brutal. No background music, no comments, no reactions, just the faint hum of the hallway vents and the soft scuff of her sneakers as she walked down the hall. No final line, no grand send-off, just a broken woman quietly exiting the stage she built. And behind her, the door clicked shut, my door. By Monday morning, she wasn't just trending, she was a meme. It started on Reddit. A clipped version of the stream hit the front page under the title, "Influencer evicted live after trying to change locks on a place she didn't even rent." The comments were merciless. She really said, "Bye Darren," like she owned the place. That locksmith's face when she said, "I live here," Oscar-worthy. 17,000 people watched her commit a crime in HD. From there, it spread. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube reaction channels. Even LinkedIn got in on the action. Some HR consultant wrote a think piece about digital boundaries and personal accountability, the Marissa Langford incident. Her name blurred on some outlets, but her voice, her outfit, her exact words, unmistakable. And me? I said nothing. They reached out, of course. Journalists, bloggers, a few podcasters with foam walls and desperate microphones. "We'd love to have you on to share your perspective." I didn't respond. A local outlet called my office directly. My assistant passed along the message. "Mr. Trent has no comment. Let her have the spotlight. Let her explain it." 2 days after the eviction, she posted a shaky front-facing camera apology. No makeup. Lighting deliberately bad to suggest sincerity. Hair tied back. Hoodie from some old wellness brand. Voice trembling just enough to trigger that maybe she's really sorry this time reflex in her followers. "Hi everyone. I know a lot of you are disappointed in me, and I deserve it. I made a mistake. I was in a really emotional place, and I felt like Darren had shut me out, and I reacted. I didn't mean for it to go so far." She sniffled, looked off screen, came back. "I take full responsibility, but please understand, I'm human. I was hurt. I just wanted to feel safe again. That's where the clip ends on most reaction videos, because that's where the audience lost whatever sympathy they had left. The comment section turned on her faster than she could refresh. "You streamed yourself, breaking into someone's place." "What do you mean, emotional?" "Accountability doesn't come with ring lights, babe." "Girl, you brought wine." "I wanted to feel safe again." "In his house?" Someone stitched the apology video next to a screen recording of her original live. They synced her "I was just trying to reclaim my space" with the moment she yelled, "Bye, Darren," while twirling the wine glass like she just declared herself Empress of Petty. Her sponsors pulled out. One by one, hair serum gone, T-Tox gone. A CBD pillow brand left a comment under her post. "We do not condone this behavior. We've ended our partnership." Even her backup TikTok account, where she used to post less polished, more real moments, got mass reported and flagged. Community guidelines strikes. Restricted features. People went through her old videos frame by frame, pointing out every lie, every dig at past toxic men, every fake cry session. Her brand, built on curated chaos and weaponized vulnerability, collapsed under the weight of its own receipts. I got another call, this one from a well-known streamer offering me $5,000 to do a reaction video. "Just watch her live and react. Give us the inside scoop." "You don't even have to speak badly, just be there." I declined. Not because I wanted to protect her, not because I had some moral stance against content farming, because I didn't need to explain anything. She had already done the explaining for all 17,000 people, live, unedited, and with a wine glass in hand. Her digital empire wasn't hacked, it self-destructed, and she broadcast the whole demolition herself. The envelope landed on her doorstep 3 days after the apology video tanked. Certified mail, hand-delivered by a uniformed courier she probably tried to charm, with a weak smile and a crumbling voice. Didn't matter. The man had a clipboard, not a camera. She wasn't his content. Inside, a cease and desist, 4 pages. Clear, clinical, utterly void of performance. Paragraph 1. A formal request to remove all online material referencing me by name or likeness, including clips, thumbnails, and captions across all platforms. Paragraph 2. Documentation of false statements made on her live streams, including direct quotes implying domestic abuse, financial coercion, and emotional hostage-taking. Her words, not mine. Paragraph 3. A polite but unmistakable warning that further misrepresentation would trigger formal legal proceedings under defamation statutes, invasion of privacy, and unauthorized commercial use of private property. And then the line she probably stared at the longest. This action is not being taken for financial compensation. It is being taken to ensure the complete and final termination of any association between Ms. Langford and Mr. Trent. No courtroom, no drawn-out spectacle, just surgical, bloodless extraction. My attorney, Steve, had asked twice if I wanted to press for damages. Frankly, he'd said, the live stream alone is a gold mine if you want to bury her in court. I told him no, not because I was merciful, but because I had no interest in dragging it out. The whole point was silence, distance, ending, not escalation. She didn't see it that way. The first message came that night, a long, unpunctuated wall of text on WhatsApp. I didn't mean to hurt you. It was never about you. You don't understand what it's like to feel cornered and unloved and invisible. I was just trying to get your attention. I was spiraling and you let me fall, and then you destroyed me. I didn't reply. The second message came the next morning. A voice note, 3 minutes long, half whisper, half cry. You could have told me you were going to do this. You humiliated me. You made everyone turn on me. Then a third. Please don't make me disappear. You know I'm not that person. She didn't say my name once. That's what stood out. Not a single Darren, I'm sorry. Just vague appeals to the version of me she'd once created for her audience. The silent, brooding, older man she could cast as a villain or a prop depending on her mood. That version of me no longer existed. I replied once, typed it slow, read it twice before hitting send. You did that yourself. Nothing more. No gloating, no lecture. Just the final pin, pulled from the last thread holding her delusion together. She saw it, of course. Read receipt showed up almost instantly. No typing bubble followed. No call. No fourth message. After that, she vanished from my feed entirely. Unfollowed, untagged, her old videos went private. Comments disappeared. The usual digital purge of someone trying to rebrand herself into a redemption arc no one asked for. I heard from a mutual acquaintance she was trying to move to Austin. New energy, she reportedly said. New audience, that story's old news. Let it be. I'd already deleted every video from my phone. Archived the folders. Locked the files in a drive I no longer checked. Not because I was forgetting, but because I didn't need them anymore. She'd tried to build a narrative where I was the villain. I just handed her a mirror. The morning light slanted through the blinds like it always had, but it felt different now. Sharper, cleaner. The condo was quiet. Not performative silence, not the heavy quiet of held-in tension, but the kind that exists when there's no one left narrating your life from the other room. I stood barefoot at the window, coffee mug warm in my hand, watching the city wake up without drama. Somewhere below, a garbage truck hissed to a stop. A cyclist swerved around it, earbuds in, oblivious. A man in a suit paced in front of the building, arguing into a Bluetooth mic. Ordinary lives unfolding in real time. No filters, no followers. Just people moving forward. I opened my phone out of habit, scrolled once and saw it. A headline buried midway through a gossip blog's front page. Influencer accuses ex of ruining her life. Public says she ruined her own. I clicked it, briefly. The article was padded with vague phrases, sources close to Marissa Langford claim, and quotes from anonymous friends defending her emotional state. But the reader comments underneath were blunt, almost surgical. She recorded her own downfall and still tried to blame someone else. She didn't just burn the bridge, she live-streamed the gasoline. I didn't laugh, just nodded slightly, like confirming a math problem I'd already solved. Then I closed the browser, put the phone screen down, and walked to the kitchen. No alerts, no pings, just the subtle hum of my fridge and the scent of fresh coffee lingering in the air. On the counter sat a letter. It had arrived 2 days ago. No return address. The handwriting on the envelope was unmistakable. Looped, inconsistent, performative even in ink. It had sat there unopened since I picked it up from the lobby, untouched like an object in a museum exhibit no one visits anymore. I picked it up, weighed it in my hand, then fed it to the shredder in one smooth, silent motion. The machine buzzed softly. Paper turned to confetti. Not everything needs to be read. Some endings are better when they don't ask for a response. Back at the window, the sun had fully cleared the skyline. The glass towers across the street glinted like they were exhaling. Below, traffic had picked up. No one looked up. No one wondered what had happened inside this apartment. To them, it was just another unit. To me, it was a battlefield that had finally been cleared. No wine glasses, no ring lights, no staged arguments, just my space, my coffee, my name on the lease, and my name nowhere on the internet's lips. I didn't smile, I didn't pose, I just stood there and let the quiet hold me.